Hey everybody, we're back for round two. This time we're going to rock and roll and we're going to be talking about crypto czar David Sachs, of course, talking about the insights that he's going to give us in this interview that was done earlier today around the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So I hope you guys get some good insights. We're also going to talk about top five Bitcoin price predictions for this year as well, and also look at the ramifications for the strategic Bitcoin reserve from the United States. So it's going to be a big show. And this time we're going to have flawless operation. Let's get into it without further ado. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. If you want to join our Discord, I highly encourage you get in before the price increases. And of course, get on that one. The links are in the video description for those three different offers that we've got in Discord at the moment: community membership, strategic crypto club, and of course also a one-on-one with me. So check out those offers there in the chat. And we're going to have a fourth offer coming up probably next week. It's going on track pretty well, so definitely check that out. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to pull up that interview. So let's go for gold on that. So here we go, David Sachs. And of course, this is on Bloomberg Technology. And ignore the host shouting, because I don't know why they shout, but they tend to shout there.
So, remind the American public and investors why you need a Bitcoin reserve at all.
Really good interview. Great insights.
Good to be here. I mean, the reason why we need a Bitcoin reserve is that the federal government already owns some. In fact, it obtained around 400,000 Bitcoin over the past decade through criminal and civil forfeitures and seizures. And so the government has to have a strategy for how it deals with this. In the past, the strategy has been simply to sell it, in an ad hoc way, almost willy-nilly. And that cost American taxpayers something like $17 billion in lost value. So we want to have a long-term strategy to maximize the value of these holdings. And we've decided that Bitcoin is scarce, it's valuable, and that it's strategic for the United States to hold on to this as a long-term reserve asset. So that's the plan with the 200,000 Bitcoin that we believe are in the possession of the federal government. And I say we believe because no one really knows for sure, because we never had a proper audit. So that's one of the first things that this executive order provides, that we're going to do a full government-wide audit to find out what digital assets we actually have, so they can be safeguarded and moved into a strategy that maximizes their long-term value.
So a big thing there to do the audits, and of course, looks like they had maybe had forfeited Bitcoin and other collections at about 400 Bitcoin. Now it looks like they're estimating 200,000, but they're going to do an audit. And of course, that's going to be huge. They obviously want to create long-term value with the Bitcoin, treating it as a digital gold, which is pretty exciting.
And then there's the stockpile. Talk to us about the nuance there and why you need a stockpile for altcoins and how you're treating them differently.
Right. Well, the idea there is, again, we're going to figure out what do we actually have on the federal balance sheet, and we're going to move those, like you said, altcoins or digital assets other than Bitcoin into a stockpile for safekeeping. The difference there is that the Secretary of the Treasury will exercise responsible stewardship over those assets, and he has the discretion to rebalance the portfolio or to sell items in that portfolio. But that's not true for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin we want to keep long-term. So there's a difference there in objective. With the reserve, the goal is long-term preservation. With the stockpile, the goal is responsible stewardship, portfolio management in essence.
So yeah, treating the Bitcoin like gold, just going to keep holding it. With the altcoins, though, they could manage it like a portfolio. They could add and subtract from it. And of course, that's going to be interesting where they go with that too. Let's check it out.
David, the executive order also tasks Secretary Lutnick and Bessent with finding budget-neutral ways that won't cost the taxpayer to add to that reserve. What qualifies as budget-neutral? Can you give us some?
So giving some examples of this, a lot of people were confused about exactly what this means, budget-neutral, because that could actually add additional buying for the Bitcoin itself, putting aside the altcoins that are in the stockpile. So it's going to be great to get insights from him here.
Examples of how that would actually work.
Well, budget neutral just means it won't cost the taxpayer anything. It won't increase the deficit. It won't increase the debt. So that's basically the constraints on what they can do. If they can figure out creative ways to add to the stock, to the reserve of Bitcoin, they're allowed to accumulate more Bitcoin. But again, it cannot impose any burden on the federal deficit, debt, or the taxpayer. So that's the rule. Now, you can ask the question, well, how are they going to do that? And I think that's sort of up to them. If they can figure out creative strategies that they believe are in the long-term interest of the country, they now have the authorization to develop those strategies.
Do you think using savings that come from Doge, for example, qualify as something that would be budget neutral?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I think that that's something that have to be assessed by probably the Office of Management and Budget. I think that since Doge is cutting the deficit, and we'd want to seek a way to rescind those appropriations, it probably would not count. But you probably have to ask the OMB that.
So looking for innovative ways to try to add additional buy pressure there under that budget neutral approach. Going to be interesting to see where they head with that. Yeah, maybe not the Dodge money from the Federal Reserve, which may end up saving $1 trillion. Imagine that going into crypto, mind-boggling, at least even a fraction of it. So we'll see, though.
When you talk about the stewardship, particularly the stockpile, could you be seeing things like staking, lending? Is there going to be other ways to maximize the volume there?
Now, I love this angle about staking and mining. Imagine the US government involved in that. Isn't that crazy? This seems crazy now, but man, that's huge. I mean, we all do it, but imagine seeing the US government in it. Absolute game changer.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I think that the idea of this executive order is to create the mandate, right? So first of all, we're going to move these digital assets from wherever they are all over the government. We're going to find out what they are. First of all, we're going to do the accounting. We're going to do the audit. Then we're going to move them into a separate account for safekeeping. And then the Secretary of the Treasury and his team will be able to exercise portfolio management and long-term and responsible stewardship. And yes, that could include staking. It could include rebalancing. It could include sales. These are all options that they can pursue if the Secretary of the Treasury believes that these are in the long-term interests of the American people.
So they could end up, for example, having the ETH that they've got going into Rocket Pool or something like that. I mean, it is crazy to think where this could go.
Just going into what's in the holding of the US government, going back to what President Trump mentioned over the weekend, talking of Ripple, Solana, other alternative coins that people are wondering whether they're going to be included in this stockpile. Will they? Does the US own them? Why mention them by the president?
Well, the president just mentioned the top 5 cryptocurrencies by market cap. So I think people are just reading into this a little bit too much. He just mentioned the top 5. In terms of what we'll actually have, again, we have to do the accounting. We're not sure, sitting here today, whether the federal government owns any of these alternative cryptocurrencies. We know it owns Bitcoin. I believe it owns some Ethereum. I'm not sure about the other ones. This is why we have to do the accounting, is that, to be honest, no one's been able to give us a straight answer yet in terms of what the federal government owns. And this is part of the problem, is that we've never really had a digital asset strategy before. And this is why we've, missed out on accumulating a lot of value for the American people.
David,
There's a big thing there. I mean, focusing on asset value, we know that instead of focusing on debt, which they're going to try and get rid of, they're focusing on assets to get that big. And of course, if they get that big, they could end up matching out debts anyway, as they're decreasing debts, increasing assets. And therefore, they could get the US towards a net zero interest rate cost overall. So it could be pretty crazy where this all heads. Man, these guys have got the master playbook, that's for sure.
You mentioned earlier that you don't have any additional cryptocurrency assets anymore. You've divested from your interest.
All right. So this next section is just talking about conflict of interest and owning the assets themselves. So we're going to drop out of that section and move on in terms of, okay, so we've got the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now what, right? Now what? Where do we go? And of course, we're expecting, obviously, the Bitcoin's going to be a supply sink and it's going to be held long term. But of course, we've got lots of different demand potentially coming in. So let's check out some of this. And of course, it's not just from the Federal Reserve, but also from the states in the United States, right? So if we have a look at a map of the different states in the US that are following in the federal government's lead by President Trump, and of course, David Sachs there, we can see a number of states are looking to push through to get allocation of their assets into Bitcoin gold, right? So pretty exciting. We can already see a number of them in different statuses. So all the ones in red up there have all declined. So they've all rejected putting money in. But we've got all these blue ones here, blue states, all looking to go into crypto, and they're rushing them through. So we could see a lot of money pouring into crypto this year. And also we've got some other ones that are considering. So these ones, Arizona, Utah, but it looks like Arizona's already got some. some Bitcoin already, but they don't have altcoins. So that's going to be huge. We've got Utah is in progress, and they're looking to use rainy day funds. Could purchase 13,700 Bitcoin. So pretty big there. We've got New Mexico is proposed to use rainy day funds. Could purchase 41,000 Bitcoin. So we're adding this up. It's a lot of Bitcoin. Texas proposed 274,000 Bitcoin. That could happen as well. They've already got some already buying Bitcoin directly, not altcoins. We got Oklahoma as proposed using rainy day funds, could purchase $23,000 Bitcoin. Kansas also proposed using rainy day funds, 20,000 Bitcoin. We got Missouri proposed using rainy day funds, and that could purchase 11,000 BTC. We got Iowa 10,700 proposed. We got Illinois 26,000. I mean, it's really huge. We got, and some of these are already got Bitcoin, right? Buying already. We got Michigan here, 24,000, almost 25,000 Bitcoin to buy. Ohio as well, 45,000. Kentucky, 52,000 all proposed. And of course, West Virginia, 15,000. We got Alabama there, 36,000 proposed. And Georgia there, 63,000. Florida there as well is got looking at 51,000. Looks like they already got some Bitcoin already. Partial SBR, so partial strategic Bitcoin reserve. So looking good there. We've got North Carolina in the game as well, 46,000. Georgia, 63,000. Alabama is 36,000. And of course, we've got a lot of other states there. Maryland there, 24,000. We go up north there. We've got Massachusetts, 100,000. And of course, New Hampshire there, 3,600. So there's a lot of stuff there. And then finally, Rhode Island, 3,300. So a lot of interest in this. And this could all pour tons of money into crypto, right? Following this Bitcoin reserve. So even though the Trump administration with the strategic Bitcoin reserve at the federal level isn't actively looking to buy Bitcoin, they can do it through their neutral budget approach, and so we'll probably see aspects of there. But in any case, we're going to have the states enter, right? And the big thing about this is that there's only 21 million Bitcoin that's ever going to be mined. 19.8 million are out at the moment, but 4 million approximately are lost. 1 million are sitting in the founder's wallet, Nakamoto Satoshi there as well. So that's 5 million out. That leaves about 14.8 million. And then, of course, you then got a big squeeze on that, right? So, and what's indicating at the moment, we could see potentially, a 25% or roughly 460 million, according to analysts Signum Bank, that we could see some big money coming in, and probably less than the money is actually the multiplier effect that's having on Bitcoin price, given the lack of stock available. So because the liquid supply of Bitcoin is very small, large inflows cause upward price shocks, says Caitlin Tischauer there from Signum's research. And of course, saying that state governments, this is just state governments, let alone Fed there, Bitcoin buying would be likely to trigger another wave of allocations for institutional investors as well. So we've got the Federal Reserve there looking at neutral budgets, potentiality to buy Bitcoin. We've got there's also other funds there that could buy it as well. And we've also got the states that are looking to buy, and they're all ramping up, trying to get approval through their houses and governments to get that through. And then in addition to that, we're going to have institutions as well. So it's just wave after wave of big money. All the big players are coming in. It's still early. It's going to be very exciting to see where this goes. So Tischauer added that state government Bitcoin buying would be likely to trigger another wave of allocation from institutional investors. And of course, the institutional capital flows so far have been exerting a multiplier effect on Bitcoin spot price, with every $1 billion worth of net inflows into spot exchange traded funds, which, since Bitcoin started the 10th of January last year, have been driving approximately 3 to 6% price movement. And of course, that was from the Crypto Market Outlook 2025 report. And we can see here in the chart that Bitcoin price in red has been going up ever since the ETF accumulative net flows have come in. We can see we've had about $40 million. We're up to about $1 billion, I should say, in that's come in, and the Bitcoin price has really been rocketing there. So we've only got more money to come in with the state money, and then with more institutional money. It's going to get pretty crazy. And then on top of that, we're going to have foreign money, right? Sovereign state all around the world trying to get in, and all those institutions. And of course, then we've got the retail book coming in as well, which is going to be pretty crazy, right? So that's going to be pretty huge. Now, we're going to look at some of these states. Now, I've showed you the map of the states, but we also have a nice table here as well, going through all the different states as well, the different bills that they're running through, and of course, when they were introduced, and most of them introduced in January and February this year, all following in on Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is now official, right? Which is pretty exciting. So we've also got the funding is pretty massive. The potential funding is huge, right? We're talking about tens of billions of dollars, and just a fraction of that potential investment at 5 to 10% end up being about $23.5 billion. So that's huge. Remember, every billion has about 3 to 6% price impact. So times 23, it's pretty massive, right? So that's about just under 250,000 Bitcoin buying potential to come in from these states alone. And of course, that will also have institutional money, huge money coming in from retirement funds and all sorts of corporate investors. It could be pretty massive, right? Pretty massive indeed. So some huge stuff coming in there. So we've talked about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. We've got some insights there from David Sachs. We talked about how the states and institutions are probably going to just start running into the Bitcoin over the next year and in the years that following. But of course, we've got some price predictions as well for this year, which we're going to talk about as well. But before we do that, let's say hello to a couple of people in the chat there. We got Shirley Fortress, Morning Suit Man. Good to see you in the house. Yeah, it's what time is it here? 7:47 p.m. in the evening, but it's still daylight savings, I think. So we're enjoying it here. Weather's not too bad. Wookie says, can see a wave of money in our direction. Oh, no, says Wookie. Yeah, indeed. And MVS announced there, Wookie, I think the Brain token is going to have some sort of airdrop. That's a little drop there from MVS with Remember or something like that. So talking there some cool Finvestor talk. Not bad. So let's get into some of the predictions that we could have as well. So some of the top predictions this year have been Tom Lee. Many of you guys know him from Fundstrat Global Advisors, very clued up analyst there. Tom Lee, of course, has forecasted Bitcoin reaching 250,000 by the end of 2025. I think his base case is over 150,000. So that's going to be pretty exciting. He's reiterated that over the last week, that is his expectations. He expects a lot of optimism about institutional capital coming in through Bitcoin ETF flows, and of course, likely get state stuff as well. A favorable US regulatory environment, which Trump, and of course, we saw that today, signaling that it's going to be very clean, particularly from the Treasury Secretary today, Bessent. We saw that today, and of course, that's really positive. Bitcoin's post-halving cycle momentum as well. Lee's very bullish, has been consistent with being bullish about this year. So 150 to 180K was his mark, but he says it could potentially get up to $250,000 this year. And I see that quite easily happening. And of course, $250,000 is around Richard Hart's target as well. Another forecast that we had is number 2 here. We got Bitcoin Asset Management. They're looking at 200,000 this year. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, they did a report called the 10 Crypto Predictions of 2025. And that came out of that, which was at the end of 24. So they're pretty bullish about this year. They're basically expecting institutional investment as well, continued ETF demand, and Bitcoin's tightening supply post-halving. And they note bullish headwinds for like government selling, but maintain a strong bullish outlook. But now, of course, we see the government's not selling, right? Government's going to hodl because when the government did sell their Bitcoin, they lost $17 billion doing it, as David Sachs pointed out. So that's some of the punishment there. Now, our third expectation for this year, $200,000 Bitcoin, Standard Charter, and this is by Jeffrey Kendrick. He's, of course, head of digital asset research at Standard Charter. He projected Bitcoin hitting 200,000 by the end of 2025, and his prediction there reported in December 24 and still widely discussed in 25 assumes institutional flows will match or exceed 2024's pace. So that is 683,000 Bitcoin by ETFs. Now, they're going to run out of Bitcoin to get, right? They're going to run out of Bitcoin to get. That's going to be going up and away. So some pretty crazy stuff expecting there. Now, our fourth one, of course, is Van Eyck, Matt Seigel. So Seigel, you might call him. He's expecting 180K this year. So we got a lot of analysts expecting, like end of last year, we're expecting 150, 180K. But we're definitely getting even more bullish expectations. And I imagine that's going to grow as we move forward this year. Matthew Seigel there, Van Eyck's head of research, anticipates Bitcoin reaching 180K in 2025. With potential corrections of up to 30%, this prediction, and of course, you get big corrections in crypto before it goes back up, right? This is the way it goes, particularly even in Bitcoin. It reflects confidence in institutional adopting and ETF growth, tempered by volatility warnings. Well, we're experiencing that. Obviously, recently, one of Tom Lee's analysts expected Bitcoin to potentially sell off all the way down to 62K before bouncing back up again to go head towards these big numbers of 150 to 250. So you expect volatility in crypto. I imagine that's going to slowly settle down as we move forward in time, and you'll get less volatility, but you get less gains as well with that, right? So that was from Van Eyck. Finally, we've got Shamath Philahapatia. I think that's how you say it. And that's $500,000. Can you believe it? $500,000 for this year. Hey, and that's not out of the ballpark. Yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, we're looking at gold. Let's say gold's somewhere between 20 and 21 trillion. Bitcoin's at 2 trillion, and you're looking at least a 10x from here, right? So a 10x from here, that would get you well past that, and that would get you what, 800,000 US dollars. So I think $500,000 is definitely doable if we're going to converge. Bitcoin digital gold becomes like the real, the hard material gold. So we shall see where that lands, but definitely makes a lot of logic there, especially now that we've got the US strategic Bitcoin reserve, all the states coming in, institutions coming in, competing foreign governments coming in. It's going to be pretty huge, right? So people buying Bitcoin now be pretty happy with that. And of course, he thinks that it might even hit 500,000 by October 2025. And I remember Tom Lee's analyst also saying that maybe March was going to be the bottom of the cycle pullback. Obviously, we've got our very own TA guy in our Discord, Brennan, who's expecting mid-March onwards. But we still do have a bit of tariff volatility leading into the 2nd of April when we've got that reciprocal tariffs coming in. But we may get some deals done between Mexico and maybe Canada possibly before that time. So we'll see how that goes. We already saw Trump bring forward, I think, reciprocal tariffs on Canada because of the Trudeau not being very good at negotiating. This bold call reticulated on, a lot on X, and of course, it's been something that people were excited about. So we'll see where it goes. Economic stability, global integration, a lot of cool things coming for as well that the US administration is doing, solving a lot of problems in the world. So those are 5 pretty bold predictions. And just in summary, just to go through those, Tom Lee, 250,000 for this year. Bitwise Asset Management, 200,000. The Standard Charter there from Jeffrey Kendrick, 200,000. Van Eyck there from Matthew Seigel, 180,000. And Chamath there, Philahapatia. That's a difficult name to say for a Kiwi, and that is at $500,000 just to top that off with the cherry on top, we say. So some big numbers expected there. Pretty exciting, eh? All right, so that is our quick update there on the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. We've been covering the last 3 or 4 shows have been on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. It is a big deal, and I think we've covered pretty much everything about it. I did see that Tom Lee has a long-term forecast in his latest analyst research paper, and they're talking about Bitcoin at $5 million, and I think it even had a date of 2027. So if you think things are just warming up, we're at 85,000 now or something. Well, it could be $5 million by 2027, and that's easily doable, folks. It's easily doable. So we'll see. Now, obviously, you get a 10x from here. That would get us to 800K or so. That would get us around just for Bitcoin alone, would get us around the gold market cap, which is around 21 trillion. I think Bitcoin's around 2 trillion at the moment. And of course, that getting to 5 million, that would just be adjustments moving forward. And that would also mean that the gold market cap would also be higher, but maybe not at parity, but maybe 40 trillion there as well in 2027. So we'll see how that goes. A theoretical to pay off the US debt is about 36 trillion. So I think Bitcoin would have to get to something like 15 million dollars or something like that to get there. And of course, that would match off the debt, arguably if it was still at that level at the moment, and therefore US interest rates would go near to zero. So that'd be crazy future. Only Trump could pull it out, of his hat. Of course, he's not going to be around probably when that happens, but he's certainly going to lay the foundation for it. People are going to be mind blown, I think, by what Trump achieves. I think it's just going to blow people's mind. We saw also at the Bitcoin Crypto Summit today, that even the tech guys were saying that Trump's administration is moving faster than most tech companies do, and of course they normally have rapid iterations and things like that. And so that's a huge compliment to Trump. And of course, we all know it. Five weeks in or so, and it's been going 100 miles an hour, and he's not slowing down. Things are only warming up, as Trump put out today. If you haven't checked out the latest Trump's remarks, I posted that earlier. It's got Trump's remarks, and man, he is accelerating. And the plans that they're coming up with are very, very innovative, and really he's getting his weight in behind it. It's really going to be remarkable. I'm really absolutely excited about where he's going to take America over the next 4 years. It really is going to be the golden age, and we'll never see anything like it ever again. I'd really be surprised that we'll ever get a president that's not compromised and that really wants the best for America. And of course, ultimately the world, right? He wants to be a president known for peace, and that's why he's so quickly trying to end the Ukraine-Russia war and also the Gaza war there as well. So he's also going to try and deal with Iran. He talked about that today. He's going to try and deal with Iran and get that solved as well. He's sent to them a letter today, so we'll see what they say to that. And he's basically, putting the pressure on for them to do a deal because he doesn't want a nuclear Iran. None of us do. It'll be a terrible outcome. So all that world peace is going to make a very good foundation for prosperity and security, and everyone's going to benefit, not just Americans in the golden age, but we're all going to benefit too. So I'm very excited about that. But like I say, think about some of the things he's done for the golden age of America coming up. He's been opening up transport. They're going to be opening up ships, right, for military and civilian ships and transport ships. They're going to be getting into shipbuilding big time like America used to be. At the moment, there's about 5 to 7 different shipbuilding yards for military. That's likely to expand, including the production output from those ports as well. So that's going to be huge. And you can see also just building freighter ships too with American flags on them. It's going to be massive. So the golden age is coming for America. It's going to be across the board from shipping through to online bullet trains on land. You name it. You're going to see America really start to do some magical things over the next 4 years. And yeah, it's going pretty cool. America needs it. America needs it. It's got rundown infrastructure. It's had so much corruption in the past. And of course, Trump is getting rid of that corruption. He's getting rid of a lot of public sector jobs, which are wasteful, and of course, controlling our lives. And he's going to be moving to create a lot of private sector jobs. Today, he also talked about manufacturing jobs today, building those, and he's expecting some good things there. The tariffs definitely help with that by creating tariff walls. And that means a lot of businesses that we're going to be setting up overseas are now setting up in America. It's just warming up. We see the AI investment. We see the semiconductor investment. We see minerals investment. I mean, he's just ramping up. There's only 5 weeks in. And so you watch it. It's going to be pretty insane. Well over $2 trillion of investment already in that time frame. It's going to be mind-boggling. We know that he also has a big vision, wanting to go to Mars. He's got the best man for it, Elon Musk, and I posted some videos of him flying with Trump over to Mar-a-Lago there in Florida today. And so very tight there. He's got the smartest people, the most passionate and dedicated people around him. He's really got a dream team this time, and it's exciting to see where it's going to go, the golden age, as he said. So enjoy, everybody. It's going to be a wonderful year this year with crypto and with better world peace and prosperity. Hopefully, we'll also get safety, and hopefully it's going to rub off on countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe, which and UK, which are being actively destroyed by really idiotic people. And Trump's really coming to save the day. It really is quite cool. No wonder he got dodged that bullet by a God miracle there, because we need those sort of miracles, don't we, to fix things up. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. Links to Discord in the chat there. Definitely join up. We had a great community. We'd love to welcome you to it as well. Get in there. We've got the crypto helpline as well, and of course we talk politics, economics, everything else you can imagine as well. So get in on that one. All right, take care, and I'll catch you on the next show. Bye for now.